almost 99.9% of the time, your insecurity is something that someone else absolutely loves about you. And that's the weirdest thing about it all. It's like you can hate something so badly, and then the person who ends up liking you or like chooses to compliment you is on the one thing you hate. Like for me, it's like, okay, yeah, my teeth are straight, but like I don't feel like I have like the best smile. And then like people will meet me and be like, your smile is the best thing about you. And I'll be like, okay, like obviously they're fucking with me.
What's your way to kind of trick your brain into being confident?
Chemical X.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Chemical X podcast. I'm Alessia.
I'm Veronica. Welcome back to another episode. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment down below, and also leave us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts.
You're probably wondering why we look so dashing, and it's because we are dressed in carte blanche. They are a luxury consignment shop, but also they do carry things that are new. So Veronica and I are both in Poster Girl, which if you're a girl, you probably know,
What Poster Girl is.
You know what Poster Girl is. And we're giving you guys a discount code. So use our discount code ChemicalX25 to receive 25% off the entire site. That's on, luxury bags. There are a few things that are excluded from this promotion, but for the most part, happy shopping.
So let's dive right into this week's episode. For a while now, we've been getting a couple of requests to do this, and it is something that we have spoken about in the past, but it was a long time ago. We're, probably a year and a half later, maybe we have some new ideas to bring to the table.
Yep.
And what we've been getting requested is to talk about being confident, how to gain confidence. Maybe you just got out of a breakup and you're feeling a little insecure. Maybe you've just struggled with self-esteem your whole life. Maybe you're struggling with accepting who you are. There's so many ways that confidence comes into play in someone's life. So today, we're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about being confident.
And we are wearing the most confident outfits. Like we're saying, look at me, I'm here.
We're saying we're confident, but you know what they say, fake it till you make it? Well, it's one of those moments, we're in glitz and glam, but you'll never know.
You'll never know.
You'll never know.
Confidence is one of those things that you never know if somebody has it or not, but they'll believe you.
But they're wearing a sparkly dress and you're like, wow, that girl's got it.
Yep.
So wait, are we saying that dress
sparkly?
Dress sparkly and the world will shine.
Rule number 1.
I think the first thing is definitely to understand that I think in this world, everyone struggles with it. So just knowing that you're not alone and that everyone deals with it in some shape or form. We all go through it.
So do you feel like you struggled with confidence?
Yeah, I still do.
Okay. In what ways? Okay, wait. When does this be up an interview?
Holy shit, are my demons coming up?
Well,
You're like, in what ways? Appearance wise, not doing enough. I don't know. There's so many things. But I think for me, it was always like exterior needs to be perfect. And like as I'm like growing up, I'm like, okay, well, no one's perfect. I have good qualities, I have bad, but we're just gonna try and perfect the bad ones. And that's problem number 1, accepting the things that are not perfect and knowing that they'll never in your eyes be perfect enough, and that's okay, but accepting it is already 50% of the work.
What's the other 50%?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out.
So do you think that like you've gotten more
Veronica,
confident
why is this an interview?
Well, I just want to start off with like, your experience. Do you think that you've gotten more confident over time?
Yeah, for sure. Like, yes. Like, yeah, I think I'm, it's like you can be super confident, but then have weeks where you're like, I'm not that confident. Like it goes in waves. And yeah, like I would say 80% of the time I'm pretty confident, but then there's like that 20% that like creeps up on you and you're like, well, I would change this. I don't love this. But then it's like a lot of like self-reflection and starting to like bring it back to like what you do have, what you do, like what you are proud that you have, whether it's like looking in the mirror and being like, I love this about myself. I hate this, but I love this, and focus on the things that I do love. it like kind of tricks your brain into like focusing more on that and then being appreciative for, you know, what's not the best. You know, you're like, okay, well, I don't have that, but like I do have that going for me. So let's like really focus on that.
Yeah.
You know, because the more you like focus on what you hate, it's like it'll take over you.
Yeah.
It has for me for so long. So
And now let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you?
like I said, there's weeks I'm like 10 on 10. I'm the hottest. I'm the
Yeah.
baddest bitch. And then there's weeks I'm like, I'm actually like a 4. And there's so many things I hate about myself. And,
Yeah.
you know, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's weird.
I mean,
I think if I'm more on social media, then my self-esteem goes like I'm definitely, if I'm less on social media, I will be way happier.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I totally see that like when I'm on trips and like I never have my phone with
Yeah.
me. I'm not, you know, I'm doing a lot of activities, so I'm not looking in the mirror as much. I'm not taking pictures as much. Like when you're not like confronted with your insecurities, I think it's a lot easier to like just gaslight yourself and be like,
I'm the best.
I'm the best, I'm perfect.
Yeah.
Because I think like another thing too, like sometimes I'll get really insecure when I'm doing a lot of like taking a lot of pictures or doing a
that's
lot
the
of like
worst.
on camera stuff where I'm like, I hate the way I look. And like I'm confronted with it because we're taking these pictures and it's
Yeah.
just not working. It makes you feel like shit.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you're just having, you know, a period where you're not really doing much of that, like not really taking many pictures,
Which is not us. So.
you know, which is never for us. But just like when there's like those breaks of not doing that and you don't have to like look at yourself and like try to get a good picture and all that stuff. I
Yeah.
find that really for me is what kind of triggers my insecurities is like pictures and like media, social media, that kind of stuff.
Well, you know, even at the beginning when we started, I know we've spoken about this, but like I hated being on video. And you know, sometimes when you hate something so much, but you like confront it, it almost becomes easier.
Yeah.
You know, like you were saying about pictures, you know,
Yeah.
when like your girlfriend will take pictures of you, sometimes you're like, I hate this pic, but my friend like says she looks bomb. Like,
Yeah.
And just learning to be more like, okay, you know what? Like just post it. It's not my best pic, but like, if we always strive for perfection, then we're going to give ourselves such a hard time to like actually accept like who we are.
Like that's one of my tricks that I had basically said is that something that I do in order to, I want to say in a way trick my mind, but not even trick my mind, but just to like fight back my instinct to be insecure. Like let's say someone will take a picture, you know, I'm sure everybody has those friends. Like there's either the one that's super easygoing, they probably look like shit in the picture, but they don't care. Or you have the friend that makes you take 50,000 pictures until you get the perfect one. You know what I mean?
Or you're taking a picture with a bombshell goddess and every pic looks good of them. And you're like, babe, just take one more.
But like, I just think in these scenarios, I really try hard to just like take a couple. And even if I'm not happy with it, like it's fine. That's it. I'm not going to strive for like the perfect picture because I know if I do that, then every time it's just going to be worse and worse. I'm going to keep trying to get that perfect picture and like everything about it. And I feel like sometimes if you just like accept that you don't really like something and you let it go, you let it be published, you let it be on a story or whatever you want, you're just kind of like letting it happen, and nothing bad is going to happen if you look ugly in a picture. Like the reality is nothing bad will happen if you don't look your best in a photo, and that's fine. And like accepting the fact that like, oh, this is not my best picture, but I'm okay with it being out there kind of gives a sense of like relief and in a way makes it like you're almost training yourself to not be as sensitive to things. Like you're training yourself to be more easygoing, and in that way you will be satisfied more easily with pictures of yourself because you're not scrutinizing it the way you would if you're like so picky on every picture.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to like take accountability for your thoughts and really like take control of yourself and be like, and like literally put your foot down to yourself and be like, I'm not going to go down this hole of like trying to get the perfect picture. You know what? I'm going to let it go. I'm just going to allow this pic to be ugly, whatever, post it, whatever.
Because it
And, like,
consumes you if you don't.
Or else it's just going to get worse and worse and you're feeding the insecurity. Whereas sometimes the best thing to do is just let it happen, like face your fears in a way. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's not a fear, it's a little bit different. But it's just like facing it, letting it happen, and letting it go. And
But in a
realizing
way,
that
though, it
nothing
is
bad
a
happens.
fear. Because, like, if I think about it and I'm taking a picture with a girlfriend and she's going to post, I'm like, oh my God, people are going to see this such ugly picture of me. And then they're going to think that, like, I'm a catfish. And then, like, my brain just spirals. I'm like, this is such an ugly picture. No one ever is going to, like, they're going to think I don't look like this. And it doesn't look like my Instagram. And then, like, oh, they're going to think I'm more edited. Like, it's, like, literally, it's such a dark hole when you go there. But that's why, like, when you know, I'm not, like, I try and be like you, but, yeah, it's not always easy. It's hard.
I mean, that's the thing about everything in this episode is that all of it is hard. Like, it's easy to be insecure.
It
takes work to be confident.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of decisions. It takes a lot of discipline. You really need to discipline yourself and be like, no, I'm not going to be insecure. You know what I mean? Like, it's really all, like you said, is just like tricking your mind, taking control of your mind and disciplining yourself and essentially training yourself to be confident. Because the more you let yourself go and you let yourself think whatever you want, chances are you're just going to make yourself feel worse and worse and worse, you know? And the reality is, and what I realized about insecurities is whether you worry about them or not, they're still going to be there. So it's like you can put all this negative energy, all this time thinking about like, I wish this was different. I wish I didn't have this. I wish, you know, I didn't look like this, all this stuff. But the reality is worrying about it will never change it. You're still going to look the same.
And normally almost 99.9% of the time, your insecurity is something that someone else absolutely loves about you. And that's the weirdest thing about it all. It's like you can hate something so badly, and then the person who ends up liking you or like chooses to compliment you is on the one thing you hate. Like for me, it's like, okay, yeah, my teeth are straight, but like I don't feel like I have like the best smile. And then like people will meet me and be like, your smile is the best thing about you. And I'll be like, okay, like obviously they're fucking with me. Like that is not those are one of my insecurities. You can't just come and say you like that, you know? But if you have an insecurity and then somebody will come and then attack the insecurity you already feel or you didn't even know you had, that's when you have to like either rethink like the people who are around you or, you know, your brain. One of the two.
So like, what's your way to kind of trick your brain into being confident?
Well, like I just said, like I'll literally I'll be in the mirror and I'll be like, okay, well, I don't have the best smile, but I do love my cheekbones. Like I'll try and find something to like balance it back to, you know?
Right.
And even that is so weird to say. Like I feel like conceited to be like, oh, I like my cheekbones, you know? Like in this society we're like trained to like not even say what we like because then it seems like we're like conceited or we think so highly of ourselves. But like truly to be confident and to be able to even say that, you have to understand that like you're always going to sound conceited because you literally are in your own body. Like you have no choice but to do that.
And also the people that look like that would hear that and think it's conceited are people that are insecure because they don't understand what confidence is. You know what I mean? Like it's not conceited to say that you love things about yourself. And I find it so funny that we're like taught, you know, like growing up, it's like not even growing up. It's as a society, we're taught to like take compliments and give compliments and da-da-da. But like if you ever accept them in a way that's like, oh yeah, like I know that this about me is nice, suddenly it's like wrong. Suddenly like you can't do that. Like you can only be complimented if you don't know that it's nice. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like
1,000%.
People will tell you you're beautiful, and if you say like, oh yeah, haha, like yeah I am, people will be like, oh, I take it back. You're not beautiful.
There's also like the people who won't compliment you because they think that you know that you're beautiful and it's like you might not actually be feeling that, so like hearing it is always nice too,
right?
So it's weird.
It's just a weird thing, and I hate how people confuse loving yourself with being conceited and being cocky, because it's very different. And I actually think that cocky people are insecure,
for sure.
And I totally agree that I think you should like point out things about yourself that you love and like, you know, balance it out in a way and like focus on the things that are good about you. Totally agree with that. I even think just not like every time you think about something you don't like don't let your like discipline yourself to not go down that road. Like if you start, and sometimes it's a little bit unconscious, you do it like subconsciously where you'll like think something like, oh, like I hate this about myself, and then like you're just thinking about like what you would do, and then you're like, hold on a minute, like no, scale it back, like I'm gonna stop this right here and I'm gonna think about something else, because there's no like positive that's coming out of me thinking like this right now. And it's crazy, the more you get into it, the more it like consumes you. So like one thing, at a point, like we had like a couple of videos go viral and everybody was like really making really mean comments about my nose. And it was one of these things that it wasn't something that occurred to me because I already had a nose job and I was like happy with the results. And then it was just kind of like it blindsided me that people were like basically attacking me for something that I felt like I kind of fixed.
Right.
Which used to be like my really big insecurity. So it was already like a sensitive area for me.
Right.
So to feel everyone like commenting on it and like pointing that out about me totally changed my mind. And like suddenly I looked in the mirror with like a totally new set of eyes. Like I was like, oh my God, how did I live this long without knowing that this was ugly about me?
Like,
and
that's
then like
so sad though.
I know. And it's so funny that one day to the next, somebody else's opinion can change the way you see yourself. And ever since that, I see myself totally differently now. And like, just to say, like, I could have gone two different ways with that. I could have been the way where it's like, oh, they don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm confident, I'm happy with myself, I'm gonna keep going. But I guess when it happened, I was kind of already in a fragile place. So it really hit me and it actually affected me. And I feel like I started going down this road where I was like starting to get like obsessed with changing it. So I was like, maybe I need a revision, like I need to look into revision doctors. And like all I would do all day was like look for other doctors to get a revision nose job. But then doing that just made me more and more insecure every day because I was constantly looking at noses, constantly looking at ways to fix whatever was wrong with me that other people told me was wrong with me, which made me in the end way more insecure than anybody insulting me in the first place. Like I did that to myself. Like I brought myself to a whole new level of insecurity because I let myself go down that road of like, well, I need to fix this now. Like, how am I going to do it? I'm gonna need to reach out to doctors. And then you kind of get stuck in this like thing where it's all you can think about, you know? And then like at a point I just like stopped. Well, actually like I sent like messages to doctors and I got rejected twice and I was like, cool, fuck. So I think in that happening, I just kind of like not gave up, but like I just kind of like dropped the topic for a little bit.
And do you feel like after you dropped it, you were a lot more like at ease and more accepting of your nose?
So I think not looking at surgeons every day, like nose surgeons every day, helped me so much because also, especially on Instagram, you guys know when you look at certain things, you're going to get like promoted that all the time. So like your explore page is going to show you all of that. So it's like, even if I wasn't going out and looking for it, it was always popping up on my explore page. And then I would like get back into it, you know? But I think when I kind of like stopped myself and was like, okay, like let me put this on the back burner. Like it's not a priority right now. And I just kind of like moved on from it. I felt, I'm not going to say like I'm secure about it now, but like I definitely feel a lot better than I was feeling before because it was literally consuming me. Like it was all that I could think about. Okay, well, exaggerating, but like it was like the one thing that was bothering me all the time, which wasn't before, you know? And like I think I really had to discipline myself and be like, I'm not, because it's easy for me to open my phone and start searching best nose job doctors. It's easy. Everyone could do that.
But what makes me so mad about all this is that you did it and you were like, and by the way, we're not here saying like if there's something you want to perfect, not to get it done. If it's going to make you more confident, like Veronica and I both did our noses, we were definitely more confident after that. But to have like people in comments like affect your decision is like the saddest thing. And I think that's where you really have to like, I don't know. I want to say like fuck the haters and fuck the people in comments, but most of the time people who like criticize you are not always even people in comments. It could be like family members, it could be friends, like they do it in a joking way or like they'll say something and then like you don't know what you're saying and how it's affecting someone. Like someone might not show it, but like it's something they're already battling, or like you just gave them a new insecurity to be fucking depressed about, you know? So
it's so true. And I think people really need to watch what they say because with this whole like nose job thing, I think one of the big parts of it that made it actually that kind of triggered it even more was that like when all this was happening, I was kind of like, oh my God, what the fuck? And then when I would like bring it up to people, like a lot of the time people would not give me the response that I was kind of looking for.
Like you wanted people to say, no, you don't need it.
And like I know that it's bad to go seek validation, but I think I was so blindsided. I was like, wait, is this bad about me? And like I guess I just went to the wrong people. And like the people that I did go to kind of gave me almost the sense that like, yeah, you should fix this. And I was like, hold on a minute. Like now this is like a whole different ballgame.
Now you're like, wait, everyone thinks this about me?
Yeah. And it's just like, you're a real person that like I know and love. And like you're kind of insinuating that like maybe it's not as nice as I thought it was.
And it's one thing to come from somebody in the comments, but now if it's coming to somebody you actually like take their opinion seriously, that's like, it feels even more personal. It becomes even harder after.
And I think that for me is what made it real. It's like, it's not just random people in the comments. It's like, you guys are like actually validating my insecurity by saying like, yeah, well, and like, I think that was for me, you know, the turning point where I was like, oh my God, okay. So this is really bad. You know what I mean? And it's just fun. It's just, you never know like what someone's going through, and you should just never comment on
I feel like
appearances.
if you have nothing good to say, like actually just don't say anything. You don't know what someone's going through. I think like 6 months ago, I've spoken about on the podcast that I hated my chin and I wanted to like either fill it or do like a chin implant. I was really like in and out of wanting to do it. So I went to see a doctor and the doctor was like, look, you can do two things. And I spoken about the two things, but basically he ended up just like injecting Botox in my chin from my chin to lower so that it would give me more the effect I wanted. And then after the 2 weeks, he was going to fill it in so that my chin would like project more out, which is the look I was trying to go for. And in that whole process, when he injected my Botox, I had went on a trip and like I was like, oh wow, my muscles loosening. Like I know it's a little different, but like I'm liking it. And then all my friends were there to validate and be like, yeah, it looks so nice. Like your chin looks more balanced now. Yeah. So like after that, I was liking it. And then like at a certain point, I guess when he Botoxed me, it hit like a different muscle or nerve. I don't really know how this shit works. But then my smile that I already found that was not perfect and straight started going more at a slant. And then I started tripping out. I remember being... I was in Miami and I was with my girlfriend and we were going on a double date. Okay. She was like, I want to meet this guy. And like, he's bringing his cute friend. Like, I want you to come. And all of a sudden I remember I was getting ready and I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm smiling. And my smile is like, it's not how it normally is. And that was already an insecurity of mine before, but now it's like, because of the nerve it hit, it made my mouth go even more crooked. So like at that moment on, I was like, forever wishing I just had my old chin back. I was like, I wish I never did this. And like, it's true. Sometimes it's like you try and fix one thing thinking that you're going to feel better. And then sometimes you're just like, I would do anything to have right now this fucking Botox out of my chin, which I can't remove. Botox is not removable. So you just have to wait. So I'm tripping out. I'm Googling. Then it just became such a whole other story. Then I didn't want to film the podcast. I was so insecure because I didn't even want to smile. I didn't even want to laugh because my smile was even more crooked. I'm like, people are going to notice. This is so weird. And it just became like when this Botox gets out, like I am never doing this again. Yeah. You know?
Which is like, in a way, kind of like forces you to accept something that you don't like.
Yeah. Like it made me go, you know what? Like I maybe don't like it without the Botox, but like if it's going to keep my crooked smile from being a little straighter, then maybe after all I'm not gonna touch it right now. Yeah, you know, like,
which I think is like a blessing in disguise. You know, in a way, it forced you to be like, actually, hold on a minute, like it's not that bad.
No,
like,
it was
I'll take it.
It was really a hard 4 months. Like every day I would smile and I'd be like, I was holding my hand over my smile. Like I always still do it a little bit. You guys will see on the podcast, but like it was really bad. And I was like, there's nothing I could do. Then I was like, should I Botox more on the other side to even it out? And then I'm like, you know what? I literally don't want anything worse to happen. I'm just going to stop. So yeah, that was really tough.
Yeah. I mean, definitely when you're looking to fix something that you're insecure about and then it makes something else worse, you're like, what the fuck? This is not what I signed up for.
You're like, you know what? I don't want this shit.
And like, that's an interesting thing too, you know, like we said, we're, you know, advocates for changing whatever you want to change. And like, obviously plastic surgery to the extent that you want to take it, as long as, you know, you're doing it for the right reasons. But also you need to keep into consideration that it's still surgery. It's still like aesthetic procedures, and it doesn't always go the way you want it to go. And sometimes it's like, are you willing to have something worse? You know, like, are you willing to like potentially not have the results that you want?
I think that's when you really have to think, how bad do you hate something about yourself? Like, we hated our nose so badly, we got it done without, like, whatever was going to be was essentially going to be better than what we had. And then that's a fine reason to do it. But if you're doing it to perfect something that you already like, being like, what's gonna be the outcome, then I honestly don't suggest it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
You know,
I totally agree. And going back to like just, you know, taking your confidence in your hands, I think another really important thing is to pinpoint like where your insecurity started. And I think a lot of times certain insecurities come from what people say, you know, like that's what it is. I think an insecurity is like, you don't actually realize you have this flaw, quotation marks, until somebody like tells you. And I can remember like all of my insecurities
and where they stem from.
Like I can always remember like what it is that somebody said, and like that's when I know like my insecurity started. And maybe not like full blown, but I probably started to question a little bit, like, wait, is this bad? Is this normal? You know? So I can really remember every single time that I gained a new insecurity. And I think that's good. I think, you know, with everything, you always have to go back to the roots, like whether it's trauma or anything like that. I think the same thing goes with insecurities, is like going back to the root and like remembering, like, at what point did this change? Like, did I start viewing myself differently, and why? And whose opinion was it? And like, why did it affect me so bad? And like, how can I maybe go back to the person I was before this person made me aware of this so-called flaw, you know? I think it's so interesting to think about those moments, because we often just be like, oh yeah, I'm very insecure about this, and like, this is my insecurity, like as if it's like a luggage that you like carry it around. But in reality, it's like that stemmed from somewhere. You didn't always have that. You weren't born with an insecurity. Like, you probably lived all your childhood thinking you're the bossest ass bitch ever. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's because I think when we grow up, we don't know anything of the world. And like, I don't think we grow up with insecurities. I think when we grow up, we're like, we don't know much. We're kids. We're like
innocent.
We're like innocent in a way, you know? So it's like, it's really the things we go through that make us insecure about things, you know?
And that's why it's like, it's all a mindset thing. Because it's how your mind changes over time. But like, you still have the ability to be the person that's innocent to insecurities, you know what I mean? Like, that's like ignorant to it in a way. And like, I always try to be like that. I always try to like trick myself to like, I literally gaslight myself to be like, you're actually not insecure, babe. This doesn't bother you, like, you're good, you know?
And that's what confidence is. It's really just faking it till you make it.
And like, I think even very confident people do go through waves where they aren't confident. And I think like, you can look at someone and, you know, I do it too. Like, I look at the prettiest girl and I'll be like, wow, if I looked like her, like, I would be so happy. Like, all my problems would be solved. I would not be insecure. But then that's not true, because that person is probably so insecure as well, you know? So
let's say, for example, you're a model. Like, I think of Emerada, and I'm like, she is the most beautiful person to walk this planet. Like, she would never get cheated on. Then boom, she gets cheated on. And then you also think, well, she can't have any insecurities. But then like, when you think about all the models she's up against, like, I'm sure there's things of her too that she's like, fuck, like, this model has, I don't have. Like, I think everyone competes in a way against, like, with somebody. It's always like you against the world, you know? So like, even the prettiest person is fighting against, you know, like, the prettiest person doesn't think they're the prettiest person.
I totally agree. And I also think like, there's so many ways that, you know, confidence can be like from anything. Like we said, it could be like how you dress, it could be any of those things. And I think it's just like remembering that like, you are unique, and like, who you are is like what's special about you, you know what I mean? And I think we try so hard to be just like that other pretty girl, or like just like that person, or dress like this person because you like their style, you know? And like, there's no problem in that, but it's just like, uniqueness is actually beautiful. Like, if you look at like all these people that we find so beautiful, they all have something unique about them, you know? And we try to like fit ourselves in like a mold of what pretty is, or what perfect is, or what the good style is, or how you should act, how you should dress. But really like the things that make you special are the things that are different about you, which is a cheesy thing to say, but it's totally true. You know, like if we all look the same, nothing would be interesting.
Yeah. For example, when you grow up and you're like, you look in the mirror and you're like, I love this about myself. And like, this is always something I love about myself. And anyone could say anything. I love this about myself because you believe it. Somebody could come and say the meanest thing about that thing and it'll never affect you. For example, somebody was like, oh, like if I were you, I would inject your cheeks. But that's something I absolutely loved about myself. I'm like, I have nice cheekbones. I don't need that. And then it went right over me. I feel like a lot of the times when we don't believe what we have is like nice, that's when we're easily able to be like manipulated.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And there's nothing sexier than, first of all, a man in a suit, but a man in an Italian suit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we like the Italian things around here. We all know here on the Chemical X podcast that there's nothing hotter than a man in a suit. Well, actually, there is. There's a man in an Italian suit.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with this.
So guys, you know Isotti, they are the best for bespoke, tailor-made suits. And come on, you want a suit that's going to fit you in all the right places and hug you in all the right places.
Yep. So you have to go on isotti.com, put in all your measurements, and you're going to have a tailor-made suit for you shipped to your door. I mean, I know men hate shopping, and this just avoids every problem that could go wrong. So guys, isotti.com and use our discount code ChemicalX at checkout to receive 20% off your entire order.
So funny, like just in someone saying that, it's like, you know, this is nice about yourself.
Yeah.
And the fact that someone said that to you just goes to show that people will comment on things and scrutinize things that are like, even, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you're picking on something that I know is nice about me. So
it
it's
was like, oh, it's nice, but you should inject it. It'll even be nicer.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, actually, there's a million things I would fix about myself. Please, let's not
I'll
bring
put
it.
that needle somewhere else, but not there.
Absolutely. Not on my chin, let me tell you. Or no smiling for Alessia for 3 months.
We're going to have only serious episodes.
I'm going to be crying in all the episodes. Veronica, we have to do sad episodes. I can't laugh. Don't make me laugh. It's fucked up.
I think another thing of like how to be confident, and what I always say is like people are really afraid of being confident because they think, at least I believe, that people think people are going to make fun of you if you're confident. Like people think they're not good enough to be confident in a certain way. You know, like, oh, if I was pretty, then I would be confident because it would make sense that I'm confident because I'm pretty. But like that just doesn't make sense with confidence. You know what I mean? Like being confident isn't about what you look like, what you have. It's about owning it and like being happy with it, no matter how it measures up to the beauty standard, you know? And I think so many people are afraid to act confident because they think they're going to get like ridiculed for acting confident. But I just totally
It's honestly
disagree.
the sexiest thing though, when you can command a room and walk in and be like, I don't care what anyone's saying about me. Like, I know I'm hot, and you could not be the hottest person in the room, but the hottest person in the room doesn't have your confidence and you will always win.
Exactly.
Not that it's a game, but just say like you will always command a room if you have confidence.
Like, I think the reality is things around you will still happen regardless whether or not you're confident. And, you know, being in a, like, just choosing to be confident, because we always say confidence is a choice, and choosing to be confident is not going to change any of the things, any of the comments that are going to happen to you. It's just going to make you better prepared to deal with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Facts.
it's like, it doesn't, it's just better. It's just better all around. It's better for you. You're going to be able to deal with them better. Like, no one's going to laugh at you for being confident. No one's going to make fun of you because you're confident. People that will laugh at you and will scrutinize you are the people that wish that they could be confident like you.
Absolutely. And it's always the people who are the most insecure who will normally, you know, attack something about you that's normally something that they're very insecure about. Like today I was talking to a girl and she was like, oh, my ex-boyfriend, he's always trying to come into my life, and like he's always telling me my hair's ugly. She's like, oh my God, like I don't understand why he's always, you know, after me for that. And then she's showing me a picture later and he's bald. And I'm like, well, it's so funny how the people that are so insecure about certain things will literally pick on somebody
for that same thing.
for that same thing. It's like they're so mad that they don't have it that they want to feel better about themselves, so they'll just attack you on the same thing they don't have.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought that was fucked up.
It's fucked up. And anybody who comments on anyone else's appearance is just like,
Unless it's nice.
Yeah, it just shows your character more than anything. Like, people are constantly projecting their own insecurities onto you, and like, it's so hard as a person to like understand that. Like, obviously when somebody like tells us something, we feel like, oh my god, like this is bad about me, but really it just shows about that person. Like, every time I've gotten insulted by somebody, or like somebody said something rude, like if I think about all those times, they've all been people that I know for a fact aren't happy with themselves. So I know that that's why you're coming out here and telling me that. And another thing that I wanted to say, which really helped me too, is like, if you think about the way you look at your friends, you look at the people around you, like, I don't know about you guys, but like when I look at everyone around me, I'm always in my head like, wow, you're so pretty, like you're so well dressed, you're so beautiful. Like, everyone, like, I don't look at people and be like, this is ugly about you, like what the fuck, this is wrong with you, like, oh, I don't like her lips, they need to be bigger. Like, you know, like, you look at people and you look at them with such acceptance and love, and you think everyone is beautiful. At least that's how I am. Like, I always notice beautiful things about people.
Same.
And I think most people are like that. We just view ourselves with a different kind of magnifying glass that we don't look at anyone else with. So we need to understand that other people are looking at us with that same way that we look at other people.
It's so true. And not everyone cares about you that much. I just want to say,
that's
like,
the other thing.
Like, you're there thinking, you know, everything shows you look disgusting, and it's like no one even cares that much.
And I was going to say that when you were talking about like Instagram and like a bad picture, like that's the other thing. Like, this is what I always try to tell myself.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Literally, nobody's actually. 5 out of 10 people are skipping straight past the picture. The 2 people that are going to stop and be like, not our best pick, don't even care after it's gone. Like, I don't even think one person would even say, this is not our best pick. You know what I mean?
I don't think people even care enough if it's not them.
They don't. Yeah, literally. No, everyone's only looking at themselves. Nobody cares about you. Just remember that. Literally, every human being is so focused on themselves, so selfish, that nobody cares about what you look like. And it's so funny because sometimes like, for example, I'll be at work and I'll be like, oh, like my hair is so fucked up today. Like, my makeup is this. Like, I didn't get to do it. And everyone will just be like, why? You look the same as usual. And I'm like, listen, I know that I do not look the same as usual. But the fact that you think that is like funny, because clearly we have a different perception.
Yeah. Like, we went out on Friday and I got to Veronica's house and I really wasn't feeling myself. I'm like, my hair's disgusting. My makeup was like, I hated it so bad. I come over and she's like, wow, your makeup looks so good tonight. And I'm like, what? But as much as like,
I even said your hair looked good. You're like, what the fuck?
I'm like, what the fuck? Am I looking at myself through the wrong lens? So wait, when I think I look good, I look bad. And when I look ugly, everyone likes the way I look. She's like, no, your makeup looks flawless. And I'm like, my makeup is the worst it's ever been. And it made me really think like, wow, we are really looking through a different magnifying glass. Like, people don't look at you and see what you see. So literally humble yourself and remember that nobody cares.
Literally nobody cares. And also, like, just think about how you look at other people. And like, if you think that you look at other people and scrutinize them the same way you scrutinize yourself, then like, ma'am, you got a lot of work to do, and you're obviously very insecure. So like, we're gonna work on that, and that's fine, and we'll get there. But start looking at other people and like, you know, picking out things that you like about them, and you'll probably start looking at yourself that same way, you know?
Yeah. And I also think like who you surround yourself with, I know we spoke about it briefly, is like super important. If people are always bringing you down and telling you like you need to change things, and I'm sorry, like that's not the people you need to be around, because I don't know, my group of friends, like, we don't really like do that. Like, it's not like you just shouldn't. Like, even if you think somebody should get something done, like, who the fuck are you to walk in and say something if that person is owning it? Like, who are you to bring somebody's confidence down? Like, no, work on yourself.
So true. I think like your surroundings and like the people around you have a big effect. Like, sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's boyfriends or girlfriends, sometimes it's family. There's so many ways that people can affect your own confidence. And like, I definitely see it like based on who I hang around with. Like, there's people that if I hang out with them, I literally will leave the like chilling feeling more insecure. Like, I will literally leave that day feeling more insecure. And then there's other people that I hang out with them and I'm not even thinking about what I'm looking like. I feel amazing. I'm like just like on such a different vibe. And in contrast, you really realize like how the people around you affect the way you see yourself.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself like constantly feeling like shit after hanging out with certain people, like maybe like kind of look into that and be like, wait, why? Is it because maybe they're saying things? Is it because like the energy they're bringing to the table? Is this somebody that's actually like low key trying to bring me down? Like you got to look into these things because like we said, like insecurities are in a way learned. Like they're things that people give us,
Yeah.
you know, we're not born with an insecurity.
Yeah. I feel like it happens a lot in relationships too. And sometimes for the better and sometimes for the worse. And I'm going to give like good and bad. Like with my ex-boyfriend, an insecurity of mine was always like my eczema. I always had like, I would get like patches and stuff. And like, I was super insecure about it when I got in my relationship. I was like, oh my God, like this is going to be the thing he hates about me. Like it's going to be like the deciding factor if he's going to want to stay with me, which is so like, Alessia, get a fucking grip. Like remember who you are.
God.
But then there's other weeks I'm like, he's so lucky to have me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I mean by like some weeks it's like you're fucking confident as fuck. And then it really has to do with like who you're around, like how kind you're being to yourself. And I remember like my ex-boyfriend being like, no, I love that about you. Like it's so cute. Like he would call me eggs all the time. Like eggs, come here, you know? And it became like okay, maybe like it's not that bad. Maybe that's not like a deciding factor if he's going to be with me or not. And just that alone, it's like, now I'm like, oh, well, I'll get in another relationship. And if he doesn't accept that about me, like my ex-boyfriend did, then he's not for me. You know, like sometimes like ex-boyfriends could bring you down and be like, you know, like, and then you become more insecure. And sometimes people who like validate what you have and like learn to love it will make you kind of learn to love it, even if you can't get there on your own. That makes sense.
Well, I think like as much as we try not to seek validation from other people, it definitely does
Well, it's
help.
inevitable. It happens.
And it definitely does help. Like when you're in a relationship, obviously you love and trust that person's opinion. And when they make you feel better about something and when they hype you up about something that you're insecure about, like that's the best thing about being in a relationship is when someone can change your mind about something. And like I will say like, I think relationships have, you know, in the grand scheme of things, have made me more confident in a way because having someone that loves you for everything, all your flaws, everything just changes the way you look at yourself. You're like, okay, well, this person is willing to love me for like everything. So like maybe I can too. Maybe I can love these things about me as well. And like in the same, you know, beats, there's also the opposite where, you know, when you're in a relationship and you love and trust that person and they say things that really hurt your feelings, it feels way, way worse than if it would just be like some stranger. And that's why it's so important to like be careful what you say. Like I'm never a person that I'll like call like degrade someone or like say mean things when I'm like angry about like appearance. I'll say mean things, but not about appearance. But like, you know, I've been in relationships in the past where like people would, like my ex-boyfriend would say things that was like really mean and like really hurtful actually. And then when I would bring it up later, it was always like, oh, well, I was just like upset. And like, I get that you probably didn't mean it, but I still heard it. Like I still heard it and I still was hurt by it, you know, like, so it doesn't matter that you didn't mean it. What bothers me is that you thought to say it, that you even brought it up, that it even came out of your mouth, you know?
Like then we start thinking, well, if you felt the need to say it, then you must in some way kind of believe what you said, and then that'll just fuck someone up.
Exactly.
And then there goes a new insecurity.
100%. And like there's so many things that, you know, like I'll always remember, like one of my ex-boyfriends told me that he was better looking than me. And I was like, why would you say that? Like, why would you go out of your way to tell me that you think you're better looking than me?
Which is fucked up because when is it a competition, especially in a relationship?
Yeah.
Like, we're not even the same gender fighting for, like, first place.
Exactly. And it's also like, who are we fighting for? Like, we're both together. You know what I mean? And even if, like, my thing is, even if you believe that, which you're wrong. No, but even if you believe that, why would you feel the need to voice that to me? Why would you want me, your girlfriend, to know that you think that you're better looking than me?
Insecurities.
Right? And it was just something that was so hurtful to me because I was like, it was really like an eye-opening moment.
You've never looked at that like relationship as if like, who's better looking than the other.
Exactly. So like, why would you even say that? And then it always ends with like, yeah, but I was just kidding, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you're not though. Like for you to formulate that opinion, it means like it's something you've thought about, you know?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it really does come down to insecurity because I'm really at the end of the day a confident person. I have my days. I have a lot of days.
Yeah.
But would consider myself a confident person, and I know that you telling me this, like, I can tell you're insecure because I've never thought that. I've never looked at another person and been like, I'm prettier than you.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm better. Like, I would never look at my partner and be like, I'm better looking than you. I would never do that because it's just not something that I think about.
Yeah.
So it just shows like, where's your mind at that you're coming up with that opinion? And you feel
like,
the
is
need
that
to say
coming
it.
from other things that he's lacking in his life? Like, it's always on the things that like people are like lacking, or they feel like, or they'll try and use something that they think they have that's going for them with bringing someone else down. It's really like fucked up.
Yeah. And the other thing about being confident is, and this is like a warning in a sense for everyone on their journey to confidence, or anybody who's very confident listening, you know that the more confident you get, the more pushback you're gonna get. So like, if you think now these like little insults hurt you, wait till you're confident, because people are a lot more ruthless when they feel like you actually love yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a sad thing to say, but like, you really see people's true colors when you're confident and you love yourself and you exude that energy. People will always try to take you down, and it's like fucked up. But people love to belittle confident people.
Well, because at the end of the day, the goal is to be confident. The goal is to be able to look in the mirror, be like, I'm the bad bitch at all times. So like, when somebody sees that and they're not there, it's like, how can I tear this person down? Like, she shouldn't be.
Exactly.
Why? Because you're not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like, beware that like, if you're going down a road of like being confident and maybe people around you or like strangers are making comments, like, just know that you're going in the right direction, because like, that's inevitable. That's always going to happen. People always see confidence as a threat, but like, the more confident you get, the more you'll be able to like deal with those things. But they will come. Like, it's not that you're going to be confident and suddenly no one's going to ever insult you anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you're never going to feel insecure. Like, people are still going to say shit to you that's going to make you feel fucking insecure, but it's all about how you deal with that and how you move on from it, you know?
Yeah, the road to confidence is really it's a road, but it's definitely something that everyone could get to. I know through my road, like, it's been good, it's been bad. But it's definitely been the best it's ever been. So we can only strive for that, I guess. But there's also a lot of things that I was like, I thought I had liked. And then now I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm becoming a little bit more in tune with like natural beauty in a way where like, I used to inject my lips, and now like, I haven't touched them in like over 2 years, and I don't plan on. So sometimes you do things thinking that's what you want, but then you almost start to become more confident in who you are, and then you start to realize like, you don't actually need those things, and those are things that actually never needed it in the first place. So then it makes you think like, why did I ever get it in the first place? I never had small lips. Why did I have to plump something up to actually look like everyone else?
Exactly.
When in the end, like, what made me look different is what actually differentiated me from everyone else.
Exactly.
So like, I'm not saying I'm never going to get surgery again, or there's never going to be things that I'm going to want to get fixed, but I'm definitely learning to be a lot more like easy on myself and accepting of the things that I do have.
Yeah. And I'm the same way, especially like, just to bring up filler, like, when I got my nose job, I always said like, this is the only thing I'm doing, and I'm never touching anything else. And like, this is the one thing I'm allowing myself to fix.
Yeah.
And obviously, as soon as you fix an insecurity, guys, it's no secret that you gain 10 more. So in that being said, like, obviously I started picking on other things. And I remember like making this decision at some point and being like, I'm not going to touch my lips until I'm 25. And actually, I was speaking with my friend who she got her lips done a lot. And she's like, I only started when I was 25 because that's when I started losing collagen in my lips. And I wanted to have the same effect that I had before. So I always kind of said like, okay, I'm going to wait till 25 to do anything because I don't want to touch my lips before then. Like, I'm young.
Which is a good thing to wait till 25,
Yeah.
because I feel like you wait till your brain is like a little more mature, and then you make decisions less irrational.
And like, now I'm 25 and I'm like, I don't want to get my lips done. Like, right now, it's not something that I want to do. Maybe in a couple of years I might. But I just like, maybe pushing that time just brought me to a different space. So if you want to get something done and you're obsessed with something, like, take a step back from it. It's the same thing with my revision nose job, you know?
Yeah.
I thought I needed it as soon as possible. Next month, I was like, how can I get this as soon as possible? And now that I've taken a step back from it, I'm just like, okay, well, if I decide that I want to do this at some point, then I'll do it. But it's not an immediate like need. And it's the same thing with lips. It's the same thing with anything. I'm just like, I'll do it at some point if I want to, but like, I've given myself that time to think about it and be like, okay, well, I lived this long looking like this, and I'm happy. So let me just continue on, you know? So sometimes you you need to like stop yourself from making rash decisions to fix every little thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes just give yourself time, let yourself grow, let yourself be in a different space. You know, maybe you're in a fragile time, maybe you're a little more insecure at that time and you want to do more stuff, and like
It's
fixing
like,
things won't make you
totally
confident.
agree with that, and I also in the same beat disagree with it, because I'm like, sometimes you have to do something in order for you to go, shit, fuck, like I shouldn't have done that. Like piercing my belly button when I was young, it's all I wanted to do. My mom was like, over my dead body, are you doing that? You're gonna regret it. And I'm like, no, I need to do it. I really want it done. I got it done. I loved it for a year, and now it's 18 years. I'm wishing I didn't do it, you know? But it's like, sometimes you need to do that in order to like see the hole, see that it's not going anywhere, and to think the next time you're going to do something and be like,
Right.
do I really need this?
Yeah.
Like a tattoo, you know, I'm always like, maybe I want to get one, but like, I always push it off because I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to regret this. It's the same thing with like surgery. It's the same thing with like anything.
Totally agree.
And like, even, you know, you might look at somebody and be like, oh my God, for example, like I love my boobs. But at the same time, it's like when I see people with smaller boobs, it's like I envy them too sometimes, because I'm like, I wish I could do the fucking low deep V blazer and not look like a hooker, you know? So it's like, you have to understand that just because you think somebody has something amazing doesn't mean that they're looking at it like, wow, my grass is all green on my side, you know? Because that same person could be like, fuck, I wish I had smaller boobs that I could literally look classier. Like, it's just an example, but just to say, like, it's not always what you think.
100%. And sometimes
you know, my mom always had like an hourglass shape. I was always like fucking jealous. She always had the curves. She's like, Alessia, when I was younger, I wanted to do surgery because I wanted to be thin, stick. And I'm like, it's crazy how the nice things on people don't want. And then the things that people envy are the things they don't have.
Exactly. And another thing that I do, like, just to help me be confident, I guess this is a little bit unrelatable, but sometimes I'll think back to like me pre-nose job and how I would look at everyone. Like any single person I would see, I would literally tell myself, I wish I had their nose. If I had their nose, it's not the perfect nose. It's not even that nice of a nose, but I would have been happy. Like I would literally tell myself, I wish I had that nose. I wish I had your nose. Like I even remember you at a certain point, like you had told me, oh, you were insecure about your nose. I was like, I would die to have your nose. This is like pre-nose job. Like I was like, I would literally die to have this nose. And I would look at everyone with that light. Like they don't understand how lucky they are to have this. And I know it sounds like fucked. It sounds really exaggerated.
I get
but like
it.
that was like my mind dialogue was like, they don't understand how lucky they are to have this. Even though it's not perfect, it's just better than what I have. And I'm so jealous. And
oh my God, I feel that
sometimes-
way about eczema when I'm like, people with clear skin that never have to deal with like, oh, well, don't scratch or like anything like that. I'm like, I'm so jealous. Like, you're so lucky you wake up every day and you never have to worry. Like, am I itchy? Like, am I going to scratch? Do I need cream? Like, it's all these things. I'm like, it's for everyone. They all have something that they look at someone else and they're like, I'm so jealous.
But like in that mindset, I always think back to that now when I'm feeling insecure about my nose now. I always think back to like me pre-nose job and how she would have looked at me and been like, I would die for your nose. And like, I try to remember that.
That's
I try
a really
to
good
remember
way.
that feeling of like, if this was me before, I would be so fucking happy with what I have now. So like I should remember that and be happy with it, because now you're just getting picky, you know? And it's like everything, once you start to touch something, you always want it better and better and better, but you just kind of have to think back to that mindset. Another thing is like weight loss too. Like a lot of people go on their weight loss journeys and then they get even more picky on themselves and very like, you know, hard on themselves, even if they've done like very big transformations. And it's like, think back to the person that you were before and that mindset.
And how far you've come.
Yeah. And like, you probably would have looked at yourself now and been like, I fucking wish that I could look like that.
Yeah.
So like, always remember that, you know, like always try to put yourself back to that person before. And like, if maybe you don't feel like you're good enough now, but just like you 5 years ago would wish to look like you.
Yeah. I think I do that sometimes when I look at old pictures of me. I'm like, oh, wow. Like I actually like, I'm happy with how I look now. Like
But it's a good,
and it's a lot of times it's
do.
not surgery, it's not anything. It's just like
growing up,
becoming more in tune with yourself, into your skin, and like you're just like you just exude that like just like more confident self, and you look at your like teenage years and you're like, that was a girl who wasn't confident, who was just
didn't know who they were. And it's so true. Like even
or sometimes it's like you look
surgery,
and you're like, I didn't give a shit then. I fucking wish I was naive to feel that way now, you know?
Yeah. But like, if you obviously haven't had surgery or haven't had like a big transformation or something, like literally look back to you when you were 16. I could guarantee you're probably fugly, because we're all fugly. We were literally all fugly. So look back to that person and think about them, and they would probably be like, damn, I wish I could look like her.
Yeah.
They're probably looking at you now like, shit,
Yeah.
that's going to be me? No way, you know? So it's like a really good way to trick your mind into seeing a different perspective on yourself, because that's really what confidence is. It's a different perspective. I've said this in the last episode too, but I always stand by it because it's something that really helped me, is just like treating yourself well. And like, if that's buying yourself new clothes or like doing your makeup, doing your hair, like I know that to be truly confident, like you obviously have to love yourself, you know, raw, natural. But sometimes it's just nice to like, you know, every time I'm having like a bad week or something, like, and then I get like glammed up to do the podcast and I put on a cute outfit and I do my hair, like I'm always like, yeah,
If
I'm that bitch again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes you need that kickstart of confidence, of just like seeing yourself a little like glammed up, and you're like, wow, like I forgot that I look like this because I haven't been putting effort into my appearance. Like I've been just working from home in pajamas and hair in a bun, and that doing that every day really affects your confidence. I'm telling you, like,
No, it
when
does.
you're never
I always
prioritizing how
feel-
you look,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
feel like shit.
I always feel like a bad bitch when I'm dolled up. I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, you got this. But it's always when I'm dolled up. It's always when I'm confident in my outfit. It's always when I like how I feel. It's like, it's a spiral effect. If you like the way you look, if you like your outfit, you go out, literally the people you're going to attract, the energy, it's going to be a good night. If you go out and you're like wishy-washy about your outfit, you don't like the way you look, it's going to affect the whole night. It's going to affect the people around you. So it's really important to just, to get dolled up, to
be comfortable. And I'm not saying
be
put on
comfortable,
makeup to
but
be
like,
confident.
but even to wear an outfit that, you know, is not something you would normally like, that, you know, you're walking out the door and you're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
Don't fucking walk out the door and
Yeah.
don't leave.
Yeah.
Even if it takes you that extra 10 minutes, like if it's going to make you getting there and being in a better mood, do it for the rest of the group.
And like the other thing too is like something that people struggle a lot with is like gaining weight. And like I think we always try to fit into our clothes. Like when you gain weight, you're always like, I'm not gonna get rid of these because like I'm gonna be this size again soon, you know? And that's the worst thing you can do, because then you end up wearing things that you're so fucking uncomfortable in. You actually feel like even bigger than you are in a sense, because you're squishing yourself into something that doesn't fit you. So you feel like, oh my God, like I gained so much weight, and then you just feel like shit. And I think like when I went through a period where like I kind of gained a little bit of weight and I wasn't feeling my best self, what was really making it worse was like trying to fit into clothes that didn't fit me anymore. And like when I just bought new clothes and bought stuff that just looked good on me and like actually fit me properly, I was like, damn, like, okay, I feel so much better. Like I'm putting on this pair of pants and it fits me, and I'm not literally crying when I'm putting on these jeans that I'm trying to squish into and it just doesn't fit me. It doesn't look good. Like, and that's like, you know, dress with what makes you feel good, whether it's like you like your outfit or if it's something that actually fits you. Like don't always try to like fit in this box of like, well, I'm a size medium and I'm not gonna like stray away from a size medium. Like clothes should fit you. You should not fit into clothes, you know? And that's something that like mentally makes a big difference. Always trying to fit yourself into something that doesn't fit you or doesn't look good on you or isn't your style, like it makes you feel like shit, honestly.
Yeah. Like right now, guys, like we have the cameras all turned and I'm like looking at myself. I'm like, just now, like my first reaction was, oh my God, have I looked like this the whole episode? Are my shoulders as broad as it's making me look on video? But like, just to say, like, you know, like that's I'm looking in the fucking camera and that's the first thing I'm noticing is like, why do my shoulders look like I could tackle the whole football team? Like, why? Do I have to put my hair behind? Like, these are all things that go through someone's mind, and it's so bad. And I honestly wish I could be like my like 2-year-old self who doesn't give a fuck about these things.
Yeah.
Like I want to not even give a shit. Constant, like
I did the same thing. I looked at myself in the camera and I was like, damn, am I that pale? I am.
no, stop.
But it's just like, it's things that like we're saying it now and you're like aware of it because we're obviously talking about it. But 99% of the time,
just
you think it and it goes by. And like, that's the problem, is like you need to discipline
yours
yourself.
goes by, mine stays, babe.
No, but I'm saying like you just think it and you don't acknowledge the fact that you're like spiraling into like an insecurity thing. You're just like, oh, I feel like shit. Like you don't actually like
you almost have
consciously
to, like,
take control of that
like you
thought.
almost have to catch it and be like, Alessia, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Why are you doing this? You look beautiful. It looks fine. It's all in your head. Nobody cares that much. Nobody notices. It's all you, because then you get in a bad mood and then all of a sudden,
You feel even worse.
yeah.
So another thing that I do is I love to gaslight myself all
that's
the time.
the best.
So like if someone takes an ugly picture of me, I just like delete it and pretend that I never saw that picture. And I'm like, I don't look like that. Like the picture is a liar. So I don't look like that. And I literally, like, if I see a picture that's so horrible, I immediately erase that image from my mind because I'm like, I don't accept that I look like that.
Yeah.
And also like if I'm feeling like, I'll remember the other night, we were out for drinks, and where we were sitting, it was like we were sitting at a table, and across from the table was a mirror. So like the whole night I was staring at myself in the mirror.
Veronica, that's the worst.
And the entire night I was like, I'm so fucking ugly. Like I was in the worst mood because I was like, I'm literally so ugly. I can't believe I look like this right now. And I was like watching myself in the mirror and watching my every move. I'm like, is that how I drink? Like, that's what I look like when I drink. Like, my nose looks like this. Like, I was just ripping on myself.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it. And I was like, you know what?
You know what? Move to the other side.
I was literally like, I'm not looking at this mirror anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going to gaslight myself. I'm going to pretend like I didn't actually see this fucking ugly version of myself. That's actually the real version of myself. It's fine. I'm going to pretend like I don't see that. And I'm going to blind myself. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm not looking in the mirror anymore. Fuck off. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to talk to other people. I'm not going to focus on the mirror that's there. And I'm going to have a good time. Because if that mirror wouldn't be there, I would not be thinking any of these things.
1000%.
So sometimes you literally just have to manipulate yourself. You got to manipulate.
Literally gaslight, manipulate. Let's use those words in the
Gaslight,
right.
manipulate, girl boss.
Let's actually use those words in the right way now when it comes to confidence.
Oh, 100%, guys. I
Yeah.
manipulate myself all fucking day. Gaslight, gaslight, gaslight. I'm perfect. And that picture's lying.
I mean, it normally is. And it's probably not even the picture that's lying. It's your brain that like programmed it. That you even think it, you know what I mean? Because like what you think is lying is probably what it's not even bad. Do you know? Like it's, you're like, no. It was, you're like.
I looked ugly in that mirror. No stress. But I looked away.
But who's to say? Okay, well, I've been in situations where like I'm looking at the mirror and I honestly you have different, strategies. I would literally move. I'm like, I can't be on that because I've been on dates before where I'm like, they're gonna think I'm so conceited looking in the mirror, but with really when really I'm not conceited. I'm actually looking at how terrible I look on this date. So like we need to fix this. We're moving.
And another thing too, speaking of mirrors, sometimes I'll be having a good night and then I walk into the bathroom and I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, shit, did I look like this all night? This fucking ugly rat. And like maybe just don't look in the mirror. Like sometimes if I'm having a good time, I'm just like, let me not go check up on myself. Like let me just have a good time. Let me enjoy myself. Let me not focus on what I look like right now. Looking in the mirror a lot actually like really affects you.
So for me, it's like the opposite. Like pictures really can fuck me up. And sometimes I don't know if anyone else can like agree with this, but sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm like, but I'm looking at myself like I look good, I feel good, and then I take a picture and then that's what throws me off. But it's like, I'm like, I wish the picture could capture how I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I'm sure that's happened to you too.
100%. The camera makes me look the ugliest I ever looked.
Well, don't even get me started with video and being on this podcast, because I truly believe on video, like, I don't know, 30 pounds are added on me. Anyway, I'm not going it, guys. I'm not going. I hope you realize from this that you might look at Veronica and I and be like, wow, these are two confident girls standing up here every week talking on a podcast. But I want you to know that you are not alone. We literally all go through it. And just that alone should make you feel so much better. But yeah, comment down below what you think we need to get fixed.
Literally. I want to just wrap
Please
this up.
don't.
I want to wrap this up with, all the Andrew Tate people are going to come in hot with that.
Oh, yeah.
I want to wrap this up with one little thing that I forgot to say the other episode, and I want your thoughts on it. I get this actually a lot, and personally, I think it's insulting. And I know that people are saying it as a compliment, but I know that it's insulting. So I recently got a DM that said, hey, saw you at so-and-so. You're so, so much prettier in real life. And I was like, fuck you. Like, I know that that's supposed to be a compliment, but then it's like, so I'm ugly in pictures? So wait, you thought I was ugly and now you saw me in real life and now you think that I'm prettier? Like, I'm just like, no.
Right.
So like, what's your thoughts when somebody tells you you're way prettier in real life?
I get insulted, but I would rather that than the opposite.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
well then
listen.
look, that's how you should be looking
Yeah,
at it. That's
I
the
mean-
one thing you should be saying. You know what? Like, wow, normally people will say like when they see me in person, like she looks so much better in pics. Like you should try and manipulate your brain and be like, wow, like, okay.
Fine.
No, I get what you're
But
saying,
I'll tell you
though.
my preferred compliment, and it's you look just as good in pics. Thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's all how like someone will say something and spin it, because then you're gonna go on your Instagram, you're gonna look at yourself
Well,
and be
yeah.
like, what?
Why don't I look like this amazing, edited, perfectly posed version of myself? What do you mean?
And I will say that normally, like 99.9 of people look better in person, because when you're in a picture, you can't see someone's expressions, you can't
Yeah.
see their humor, you can't see like the way they react, like. When you actually like connect with somebody, I feel like you look at anyone like they're beautiful, because you like
It's energy.
it's
You get it,
energy,
yeah.
right? So I think that's when a lot of the times people will be like, oh my God, like she's actually way prettier. Like I remember a guy in London who was like, I saw your videos and then I met you in person, like you're so much prettier in person. And I was like, what the fuck? Like now
I find that rude.
it's like rude, but then I'm also like, well, thanks, I guess.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me know I'm not a model. Because models, they look better in pics. No,
I'll
we're
always
just as
remember,
good.
guys, and I've said this story before, but it's a goodie one, so I'll bring it back.
Oh, yeah.
Went on a date with a guy.
I
walked
literally
in the car.
know you. And
yeah.
I was thinking of that before you were even saying it.
I went on a date with a guy, walked in the car, and one of the first things he said to me was like, wow, you're like so much prettier than your pictures. And I was like, oh, thank you. And then the next time we went on a date, I walked in the car and he was like, well, you know what? Actually, like, you do look like your pictures.
You're like, what is it, buddy?
And I was like, hold on a minute, wait. So now am I like, what do you mean? Because you just said I'm way prettier in person, but now you're saying I look like my picture. So now are my pictures ugly and you realize that I'm ugly? Like,
And
what's
I
going
think-
on here?
And I think where that comes from is like, he didn't know you. He looked at your pics. Then he met you, saw your personality, was like, oh my gosh, then he knew you. So when he went back with his fresh eyes and looked at your pics, he saw what he met.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I do get what you're saying, but it's a very positive way to look at it.
Well, our episode is positive.
Positivity is key.
No.
Anyways, guys, all to say that confidence is a choice and anyone can be confident. It doesn't matter what you look like, how you dress, how tall you are, what you weigh. Anybody can be confident and you can too. And it's just like
a
baby
day by day
steps.
thing.
Yeah,
It's
every
something you
single
have
day.
to work on. You have to train your brain. And you have to remember that nobody cares about you that much.
But we do. So we love you and thank you so much for watching and we'll see you next week.